Hello survivors and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the benefits of strength levels and a goal to aim for, best clothing to wear to maximize your weight, the food to eat to minimize your protein loss and digest food quickly, alternative techniques you can use to exercise, common mistakes to avoid, server settings and misinformation that's being spread around, and finally, why each method is good in its own way. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Remember to click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's get into it. First, start off with the benefits of strength. Now that I have 8.0 strength, I'm honestly not convinced that it's actually worth the time. Now, in my opinion, the best and most useful strength level to aim for is 7.2 strength. Having this accompanied with medium thievery allows you to open lockers in the quickest time possible. Going above 7.2 strength has no impact on the speed of opening rusty lockers. However, though, it does affect the speed of opening hazmat lockers, but using a crowbar on these lockers damages the hazmat suits by around 30%. And it's recommended to use lockpicks. Though uranium containers are not affected by damaging it if you're planning to craft it, you can still use crowbars on uranium lockers without a downside, unless you're selling it. It will cost a lot less if you crowbar those lockers. Strength also plays a part in melee damage. From 1.0 strength to 8.0 strength, I went from killing razors in 4 hits to 3 hits, essentially boosting my melee damage by 25 to 30%. Honestly, it's a nice bonus, but I would not level to 8 strength if my sole purpose was to get the damage boost. Also, at 8 strength, you can carry 75 kilos of gear weight without being overburdened. The strength tooltip mentions that it affects calorie burning, but I didn't see much of a difference in this to comment on it any further. So now we've talked about the benefits, let's get into the best clothing to maximize your weight. There are several core clothing pieces you need. A hiking backpack, because this can hold up to 60 kilos, a military quiver which holds up to 10, a sporran bag which holds 5 kilos, a gun holster with a deagle fully equipped with attachments will weigh about 3.1 kilos, and knife holster with a knife in it, making all those pieces add to your core weight. And finally, a tactical vest. This vest weighs around 16 kilos and can hold 6 kilos of additional weight, making it a wonderful strength training piece. Now to talk about the clothing, because each piece of clothing has different heat and weight requirements that you need to look out for. The best option, in my opinion, for jackets is the animal skin jacket, which holds 10 kilos and only adds 3 heat, compared to the pilot's jacket, which adds 5 heat and the same amount of weight. Next is pants. I use military pants because they can hold 3 kilos when most pants can only carry 2 to 2.5, and they add 3 heat. Sexy jean shorts and short pants add a nice bit of additional weight with only 1 heat each. The Shimiro jacket adds 2 heat and 2.5 kilos as well, and then obviously you need footwear to protect yourselves from foot abrasions and gloves to protect yourself from hand abrasions. Shirts and undershirts I wouldn't normally wear, or helmets, though they can add weight. It's not really recommended unless you live in the snowy area because you're probably going to be hyperthermic too much. Also, make sure that any additional clothing is removed that doesn't have any extra weight, like socks, willy warmer, and stuff like that. So what about the food to eat? Well, carbohydrates protect your proteins and fats from draining fast. The best carb is alcohol. Drinking hard liquor will protect your proteins and fats and drain slower than your carbs. The downside of drinking liquor is that at C2 drunkenness you can pass out, which will stop your wheelbarrowing, and if you're AFK you won't notice until you come back, essentially wasting time. So you know how to protect your proteins. With alcohol and carbs, what do you eat? Well, cooked meat is good. Simple and easy. But if you're not cooking your meat, just use MREs. I say tuna MRE is the best because it has the least fat, which allows you to pass through your body quicker. The cheeseburger has more fat but takes longer to burn, and if you're working too hard and not breaking down the calories quick enough, you can actually go into a calorie deficiency while your stomach and intestines are 100% full. Tuna MREs, they all cost the same, and I choose those over any others. Now that you have your gear, what do you fill it with? Well, the hiking backpack, you can fit a log and a tree branch and some lead plates, making up the difference to maximize its weight to 60 kilos. All the other clothing can have lead plates. The reason I suggest lead plates is because they can weigh up to 2 kilos per slot and also can weigh lower as many uses as they have. Each use is 0.1 kilos, which allows you to adapt to each inventory's weight requirement. They only cost $200 each plate as well. Prices may vary depending on your trader. Now, every slot is full of weight. What's next? Well, there are a couple techniques you can use, one of which is the wheelbarrow technique. This allows you to gain 100% strength-based activity and a maximum of 75% constitution activity. This is an AFK method though, and I wouldn't recommend actively playing the game this way as it is boring and isn't how SCUM is meant to be played actively. The other method is mountain bike method. This allows you to gain strength and constitution at 100% with little weight requirements. You can have 1 log in your backpack and still manage to get 100% up to 6 strength without having to add a significant amount of gear weight. The downside to this method is you're not protected by your base. Essentially, when you're biking on negative stamina, it means you can't move and shoot others, causing you to be extremely vulnerable. When you're wheelbarrowing, you can stay inside your base and just run circles while you're not there, and it doesn't really matter. The third method is simply running around the map with a decent amount of gear weight. I would say to get a high amount of strength impact, I'm nearly having exactly how much I can carry at 75 kilos, and I can still only gain around 20%. It'll change if you go uphill, downhill, or anything like that. All these will take an impact into your strength. I've never really seen a maximum of 30% unless you surpass your gear weight, but the problem with this is it puts you in a very vulnerable situation, causing your stamina to drain quite quickly and you needing to rest often. Again, when you're out of stamina, you can't shoot, and you also run slower when you're heavier, meaning you're not going to be able to escape as much or be as maneuverable as you want to be. Out of these methods, only one can be done AFK, which is the wheelbarrow. The other two I would recommend as active strength training methods. So let's talk about the AFK strength training method. People talk about the wheelbarrow. What do? Very simple, guys. You hold W and A at the same time, and then you open your chat with T. Doing that will lock your character in a continual movement around in small circles. Make sure you're walking and not running. If you're scrolled up on the wheelbarrow, you're going to be doing really big circles, which isn't going to work. You need to make sure you're walking. Eventually you're going to run out of stamina anyway, so you're going to be walking, but to set yourself up properly, just make sure you're walking before you hit T. Common mistakes to avoid. If you feel like your strength level isn't leveling enough, hold control over your attribute bubbles. This will tell you how much based activity you're doing. It must be 100% for strength to get maximum gains. On a wheelbarrow, you cannot exceed 75% constitution based activity. The only way to get both strength and constitution 100% is using the mountain bike method. Number 2 of if your character runs out of protein, you will lose at 0.13788 per day, which is a lot of muscle loss. Doesn't seem like much if you're below 6 strength because you can gain more than that. But after 6 strength, that's actually losing more than you gain per day, meaning if you go 10 minutes, you'll actually have to work longer than 10 minutes to make up the protein deficiency that you had. At my strength level, as you can see, I'm losing that much and I can only gain 0.03680. That's a big difference. That's over 4 times as much as I'm losing per hour that I'm gaining. Be careful. Don't go into negative protein. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is server settings. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you can increase your speed in which you increase your strength by 10 times or 5 times, depending on the server. You can have a lot more strength increase. This is false. There is only one setting in the entire game that controls the rate in which you gain attributes. That is called the body simulation speed multiplier in the features of miscellaneous. By default, this matches the time of the server. You can see it's 3.84. Same with the feature 3.84. This, however, can only go to 8 as the speed can go to 12. This does nothing for your attribute at all. This does. This will allow you to gain more than 2 times the rate in attributes, but you will also burn calories and lose water quicker, depending on how much this setting is changed. My recommendation, if you're a server owner and you want to make it a little bit easier to gain attributes, set it to 5.78, which is 50% more than 3.74, allowing for a little bit of an increase in attributes, but not too much that people are getting hungry every 15 minutes. Also, it works really well if you match the time of the day with the amount of time that's going by for your body simulation. So 5.78 and 5.78. The time of day speed only affects at restarts. However, the body simulation speed multiplier is instantaneous change. Like I said, you can only go a little bit over 2 times at 8.0 with this. You cannot surpass 5 times. All these people saying you can go 5 times, you can't. You might be able to put it in the INI file, but the game has capped it at 8.0. So this is a setting that can only change to a maximum of 8. So if you hear anybody saying that we have a 10 times multiplier on your muscle gain, don't believe them, guys. It's a lie. However, the one important thing to know about body simulation speed multiplier, the tooltip will not change. It doesn't change the amount you get per day, and it doesn't change the amount you get per hour. Rather, it just gives you extra. The tooltip always stays the same. The only thing that changes is the actual amount you increase. If you want to test it, go on single player, get your stopwatch out, run it for a minute, and do the wheelbarrow. When I did it at 1 strength in a minute, I was able to get 0.0005 per minute. After I changed it to 2 times, which was 7.68, I was able to get exactly 0.001 in a minute, effectively doubling the amount I was able to get. The tooltip didn't change. It still said I was gaining 0.3840 per hour, per day. Nothing changed. The only change was the actual amount. So hopefully that helps you if you're a server owner or you're playing single player and you want to know a little bit more. That's what that setting does. Now that is essentially the entirety of strength training in SCUM. The alternate ways are up to you how you want to play the game. Nobody else is there to dictate how you can play it. If you have time to AFK, then use the AFK methods. If you have time to bike around the map, then use those methods. If you really don't care about strength and you just want to level it, I don't really know why you're watching this video. Comment down below what you guys think. Should we be able to craft ourselves gym equipment? Should we have bench presses? Should we have weights? Why can't we add these things into SCUM? There should be alternative ways to level strength, but for now, these are the limited ways we have, and these are how you get the most gains: mountain biking and wheelbarrowing. Sorry guys, it's not a personal preference on if you want to do it best, it's simply a game's limitation that we all have to deal with. Anyways, this is just the best way to get strength up to level 8. Like I said before, 7.2 is a good goal to get to. And after leveling all the way up to 8 strength, I've noticed that there really isn't much of a difference in damage or anything else. Skill matters more for damage than strength does. I would highly recommend not going to 8 strength unless you just want to flex on people. I did this entirely for a video. It's taken me months to get to this point. I'm talking 4 months of playing SCUM. Obviously I didn't AFK the whole time, but it did take a lot of character development to get that skill. This is currently what my character looks like at 8 strength. During the editing of this video, I was able to finish and gain 8.0 strength. So here's what it looks like on my character. Now I've got 8.0, 5.0, but that keeps going down when you don't move, 5.0 and 5.0. So our character's max. We're going to be working on brawling, rifles, and handguns to finish off our character's strength tree. So thank you guys so much. Please comment down below what you guys want to see covered about 8 strength. If you have any questions, anything you want debunked. Onik and I have already started doing a video on brawling. It's actually very surprising, and that video will cover up a lot of that misinformation that's going around right now. Hopefully this video sheds some light from a perspective of a player who has 8 strength and took the time to do it. Don't do it, guys. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the time. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hopefully this information helped you or gave you some insight on something that you were learning. Now, pump some virtual iron, do some wheelbarrowing, do some biking, whatever way suits you best to get the most strength. And until next time, stay strong and keep surviving on this crazy island we call SCUM.